Thanks for staying with us. So reports of the Bethel students' release reminds us again of the issue of insecurity in our land and what the government is doing concerning it to curb and stop this before it gets totally and completely out of hand. In reports that we had today, even in Daily Trust and I think also in Punch, they were suggesting that some kidnappers are actually collecting ransom via the banks, the financial institutions. And Daily Trust report specifically said that they tried to trace the name of, there's a particular woman that was abducted, I think, at the Madala Junction, and she paid 500,000 naira into a specific account to be released. And then they tried to see if they can find the roots of this, but obviously there was difficult. And the Daily Trust correspondent had spoken to Mr. Yakubu, Umar Yakubu, who was a financial crimes expert and former EFCC Financial Crimes Commission officer, where he's saying that detecting kidnappers these days is becoming a political choice because other parts of the world where criminals like this are taken, they're handled 100% by the system. But now, because these people have the audacity and confidence to even use the financial system, it means that they know they cannot get caught. So when we are faced with these kinds of situations, what do we do? I mean, I was reading several reports that are saying that if we want to fix this problem, we can fix it. You know, it's interesting how, I mean, I don't know what your thoughts are because that was quite painful. If it's true, because I think 2 papers carried, they put Punch, and it's true that some of these kidnappers, you know, there are some that are bandits in the bush. But this woman said they were actually taken into the bush, you know, and they gave them some kind of liquid to drink. They had codeine. All her colleagues slept. She refused to drink it, and she didn't sleep, but she saw it. But even though that she was conscious, she couldn't even recognize exactly, but she knew that they took them to one house, and they were the only ones there until the ransom was paid.
So for me, I already said that bandits that can shoot down a fighter jet are no longer bandits, they are terrorists. Kidnappers who have held our country to a ransom right now, because everywhere, it's not even any region. They are in the north, they are in the south, they are in the west. Kidnappers, we should proscribe anyone found as a kidnapper, as a terrorist of our peace in this nation, causing economic instability in our country. So let's deal with them as the criminals they are. And I said it last week, it is impossible for people to get 100 million naira and that money disappears. It's impossible. Ransom monies, we've now, it's not like this thing is larger than life. It's not. It's not impossible to find these people if we have a willing set of hands working, all hands on deck to say we must find these monies, we've marked it, anywhere the money shows up in bank, because that money can't be spent like that. So we must find a way to trace. There was a time that I took a story of how a man was a person that had a bakery that was selling bread to kidnappers, and they were able to trace that he was supplying the bread and that they would pack the bus. They found one of his boys that was supplying bread. There are many ways this money comes out, but are we really tracing the monies? And until we create a very, very strong, death sentence on any found kidnapper, we are not going to solve this problem.
Yes.
And it's not death sentence that they'll leave them in the prison for 5 years. Death sentence like the way we used to, when we were dealing with armed robbery, that they take them to Bar Beach and shoot them. You know, firing squad.
Yeah.
That is the kind of death sentence we need to have for kidnappers as soon as they are caught.
Orayo, is the audacity for me. The audacity of using the system to carry out crime, and to carry out crime so openly and so easily without getting caught. First of all, we've now moved to banks. We have talked and complained about tracing numbers. They say they use phone numbers to call to ask for this ransom. They're on the phone for minutes and minutes on end. I mean, abroad and on the movies, we see that, I just need you to keep him on the phone for 5 seconds. And in that 5 seconds, I will catch the person. Here, they have conversation, they are gisting, they are saying, no, come back, no. They are even negotiating over, and we cannot trace them. Of course, the next thing is to do banks. Next thing, they will knock on your door and say, I've come to collect the ransom. Because obviously, there's a system that does not work. And the thing is that the systems are manned by human beings, by people. So somehow, yes, government has its own, but we're all involved. Yeah. So what do we do to banks like this? So banks are unaware of this payment? Is the police aware? Okay, so there are 2 things. You know, there was a time where we talked about when the Senate, I think, was saying that for anybody that pays ransom, that person will be criminalized. And we said, well, if you do it that way, people will find ways to pay for their ransom without letting the police know. So if we have a group of people who are doing this and paying for their ransom without letting the police know, I guess the bank is not aware, so there's no tracing. So you see why it's important that when we sit down to have this conversation, we need to have it with all stakeholders.
What's even more painful, like, Nima, they have the account number here. The name of the account is Badawi Abba Enterprise.
BVN.
They have BVN, you have all these.
The audacity.
So I don't understand why this is so difficult for the Nigerian government to curb.
For me, it's the same as the experts said in the paper, it's the lack of will government. And it's very sad. You know, what's the name of the the secret journalist that went to uncover the prisons the last time?
Yes.
Shoyombo,
yes.
I think, yes. He also did something on kidnapping in Ekiti State, I think, or those states. And the audacity with which the kidnappers and the police refused to follow him. So I have a case that I've been trying to do track and arrest, and I found that there's no server to do the track and arrest. And it's been like that. But when a high-profile person was kidnapped, and then they were able to track and arrest the people, you know, something recently, I called my contacts immediately, why people not do my, madam, their own is expensive, they have to, you know, resort. Even our neighboring countries, and it's a West African issue. So we have governments sitting and watching, and you see this deleterious report about paying through accounts is not news.
Not.
On the Benin or Expressway, most kidnapped victims, when they come out, say, I just paid. Is alert. And, you know, for me, at this point, is the trauma that they go through make the victims unwilling to even go and make a report so that the police will start to follow through. Then when you give a police an account number that says, I paid here, this is what I paid for and everything, and they are wasting time because you're not high profile, you're not, you know, government official, it is not making news headlines enough to shake tables. We see every time our kidnappers come back, they report that their people were kidnapped, they report that they paid ransom. Nobody is following through. We know government does not have the will to follow through and make an example of
I was watching
anybody.
an interview very recently where somebody was saying that the sponsor, we're talking about sponsors of these bandits for years, and to today, no one has been arrested. Some government will say, we have their names, we know who they are.
We'll start calling them out.
We have a case. We have a case where Wadume was a high-profile kidnap kingpin in this country.
And he was arrested.
And on his way to get into, he was released in a Van Damme style of movie. Till today, by army. And till today, he named the army officials who killed 3 policemen in this country.
And we have not gotten a verdict?
His verdict, have we started arraignment? Have we prosecuted? Verdict, Bawo. And the matter is sitting silent in this country. This man was claiming, pictures showed how he sponsored politicians in Niger State and how he sponsors people into office. So you wonder, what exactly is the will? Are these people not, are they not the ones who are looking for
of this entire process?
the entire process?
The average kidnapper that has been released, most of them, when they give their reports, the average kidnapper that was arrested, say they get 10,000 naira, 50,000 naira. So who collects the millions?
The millions.
Who is collecting the millions? How is the millions being transported?
Let me go on a break because
every phone call is done through a server.
When you look at the pictures of these young children that were recently, it's heartbreaking, and you just wonder if our government are seeing these pictures. Let's go on a break. We'll be right back.
Stay tuned. Your View will be right back.
Now, going back to the issue of insecurity, yes, Nima, I was going to let you come in here.
So I was saying that, you know, it's obvious that we don't have the will. If we have kidnappers who Abba Kyari's team was supposed to be the high-profile team, where's this team? Why were they unable to have Evans, at least by now, facing a full sentence for what he did? We had witnesses on Evans' case who were willing, you know, who had details. The reports in the papers were detailed all through. How many years after? Evans is even suing the federal government for his fundamental human rights now.
Yes.
And we have Wadume. 3 lives lost, families displaced, because, you know, the families of the members of those 3 high police officers who went on that impossible mission to arrest Wadume are now, displaced because their breadwinners have been killed. If not for anything, justice for those 3 family members, government must sit on it and say, okay, no, I must make an example of this so that I deter others. One of the highest, job of law is to deter criminals. When we fail,
These pictures are so big.
Videos are
prosecute.
really bad.
When you see this, like, there were 2 groups. First, we had Boko Haram. That was pushed by an ideology, which you thought, oh, they wanted to have a caliphate within the states. We had that. And then these new industry of banditry, kidnapping. And so if you are finding it difficult to find Shekara at the time or to even stop Boko Haram, why are we still finding it difficult to arrest these kidnappers? All the ones we've traced, what have we done? Are they in prisons? Are they being arraigned?
No, the ones we have in prison.
Why are we finding it difficult to make a scapegoat out of the system?
Exactly.
Because if people know, there's impunity would improve when we know that I can pay my way through. Impunity would improve when people like Wadume they can still be alive.
Or Evans.
Evans can still be alive.
Yes,
Impunity would improve. And for every time a phone call is made, there's a base station that takes the call and bounces it every time a phone call is made. So it's possible for you to know where the triangulating it. We have enough scientists that can do this thing. It is not rocket science.
I'll come to you, Marian, in a second. I'm told that Celestina is back. Okay. Celestina, are you there?
I'm here.
Oh, fantastic. We can hear you better. So we're saying that you are in the courts in Abuja where Nnamdi Kanu's case is about to start. Could you tell us who you've seen at the courts, who's arrived, and has Nnamdi himself arrived, his lawyers? And we're told that I think IPOB members asked to be in court this morning. Have you seen any of them also at the courts yet?
Okay, security is very tight. We are yet to see the defendants Nnamdi Kanu in court. But lawyers and litigants are in the courtroom waiting for the judge who is yet to arrive. And it has been a very serious task getting into the courtroom today because the DSS barricaded every corner leading to the courtroom and been actually on the list given to them by the Federal High Court for journalists who would cover the proceedings as well as lawyers who will be in the courtroom today. So we are waiting for Justice Binta Nyanku and also the defendants.
Okay. All right, so we'll just keep connecting with you as soon as the proceedings start so we can get an update. I'm told that they barred some stations and newspapers from coming in, so we'll be relying on you for updates as much as we can throughout the day.
Okay.
Thank you, Celestina. All right, coming back to the issue of insecurity. Yes, Mariam.
So, this kidnapping, to be fair, I tend to see a lot of the arrest of kidnappers on social media. I don't see a lot of it on, mainstream media. So I think also there's a part of what story is much more sensational, in the reporting of these stories. So I see many of them, they are caught. But one thing I have not seen yet is maybe the very open public way of trying them, just like the way we're trying the Kanus. I guess because they're high-profile people, you tend to put a lot of spotlight on them, but we need to make it public when they are caught, when they are prosecuted, when the sentences that they get, so that people can see this and learn from it. Because kidnapping has almost become like a business. I mean, there's just so many...
It's a business.
It's a business. People have taken as a business that, okay, if I decide to just do 1 or 2 kidnappings, maybe I'll be able to cover up my debts and buy 1 or 2 things and move on. And the reason why people will sit down and think that it's an option is because they don't think that, because they know that you can get away with it. You can get away with it to the point that nobody's going to trace your phones, nobody's going to trace your BVN when you even collect, when they send monies to you via bank. So that is the problem. We need to do better in catching these people, prosecuting them, and making an example of them.
I watched a documentary about D.B. Cooper, some guy that was supposed to be the one to hijack something. I mean, according to the documentary, he's the only hijacker that has gotten away in the history of America, in American history. And they gave him money. I mean, after he hijacked the plane, he came down, they landed the plane, got the passengers off the plane. He took off again, and then using the parachute, he fell off. Now, many years ago, maybe 30 or 40 so years ago, a little kid found some bits of the cash that was given to him. And she reported it to the police. Police took it back to the bank, and they were able to know the serial number. Many years, and this was the money we gave to D.B. Cooper. This was about 30, 40 years ago. The point is that these monies were paid for ransom. Are we recording them? Do we know where it's being spent? Are we monitoring?
When the government refuses to be involved, so, they can trace this when the government is involved. right now, the governor of Kaduna State has said, I'm not paying ransom.
No, the point I was even driving at is that for you to buy an ammunition, so you're a kidnapper now.
Yeah.
I pay you money. You want to buy in ammunition from Tokwe.
Yes.
You are not getting ammunition in Nigeria because ammunition is not made in Nigeria. You have to import it somehow.
Yeah.
So there's a trail of how you even got it to the US, to Nigeria in the first place. Now, transacting between you and you, the money I'm paying you, can't I trace that money and use you to find her?
No,
this is yes, please.
We're just sending
everything is traceable.
It's traceable, but it's not done through the right channel. Individuals are paying for their ransom without involving government. So the money is not going through the police. So it's not like there's a code that is kept or the money is stained. They stain money. They stain ransom money. Like we've seen these things now.
Let's even leave payments out of it. Where do we put the issues of the high-profile investigations that have got our police officers? Some is still in service, the promotion that we gave them. Without a prosecution, is it that the court strike, does it affect that prosecution for 5 years?
Let me go on a break. When we come back, continue this conversation. Stay with us. We'll be right back.
Stay tuned. Your view will be right back.
We've spoken about body language. So, yes, we've talked over and over about the kidnapping, the ransom being paid. But, again, I've always talked about posture and body language of our government here. Recently, we all heard that is it the emir or was it Tarabas? Which state was it? Where he was saying directly, that those who are killing the people in the communities, they should be killed. He was not even unapologetic about that. Many people applauded him for that daring statement. But we've not seen the presidency or anybody respond. Because remember the last time that Governor Akeredolu said something similar against the killer headsmen that are not registered in the forest. That listen, get out of our forest. If you're not registered, if you come there, we'll get our Amotekun to arrest you. There we saw Femi Adesina and Garba Shehu come out to condemn his utterance, saying that he was being I can't remember the exact words he used at the time, but they spoke against it. But we've not heard anybody from the presidency speak against the emir who had directly, almost saying verbally that his people, the JTF in his community, should shoot at sight when they see any of these killer headsmen in their forest. So that goes back to the body language. Are we being selective in who we are condemning for these crimes?
The allegation of selective prosecution, selective attack from our government is very, very rife all over social media in the way we go after a certain region or certain people, and some other people are not getting the same fair treatment. Right from the inception of this government, there's been a body language of headsmen and my people is the head of headers. So we've had that rhetorics outside, and we've not seen our president obviously say, I don't support it.
He told us to shoot at sight, remember?
Yes.
Is there anybody with AK-47 shoot at sight?
So the part that I feel very concerned about is the psychology of those children. If you see their faces, the children look, they don't look like, they look traumatized.
Yes.
Those children look
scared.
Traumatized, they look scared.
Look at that baby boy.
Who is going to help those children? Who is going to talk to those parents? There's a woman that fainted when she didn't see her child. Who is going to deal with those ones? Are we thinking of the impact of this business, this seemingly lucrative business, the impact on society? Are we looking at them like collateral damage that win some, you lose some? We are going to deal with this. Or are we understanding the fact that these children, the remaining children left in captivity, how would they feel knowing that some of their classmates are back with their parents and they are still stuck?
Thank you for taking us there, because it's also the part of the educational proposition that we've worked so hard to get people from various communities to be part of education, go to school. Many parents say, thank you so much. I will teach my child at home. In fact, let him go and farm. No, not if I let me find another skill.
They can't even farm.
They can't even farm.
The farm is not safe.
So why not just have your child in the house? Let me take this call. Good morning, are you there?
Yeah, I'm here.
You're live, Yakub. Go ahead, please.
Yeah, good morning to you.
Good morning.
Nima, good morning. Morayo, see, I want to tell you some certain truth this morning. I don't know, maybe I have a little time. I travel for Salah. Morayo, our intelligence gathering is so poor in this country. If you could remember the incident happened in Igagan. Igagan as a town is almost 20 kilometers to my own village. Morayo, getting to my village this Salah period, I did a lot of investigation concerning this ex-man. Morayo, I could tell you this. Do you know that people have been kidnapping in various villages? that does not know to we, to all of us. When getting to my place, they mention almost 20 people that are confronting my place. They are rich people. So they say some of them pay 30 million, some of them pay 15 million. The least one pay 5 million, Morayo. And I ask, how come this thing is going on and then we don't know about it? They say no. They were going to police station telling them nothing happened. Morayo, now they were not telling me since the incident in the happened. And then there's some, this man that was arrested last time, I think the OPC arrested him and then they later got the OPC people go around and then they transferred them to Ibadan. That's this particular guy. Since the time the guy arrested, they said, and then they tell you that Sunday ago, make sure that he left that place. They told me that since when those guys leave, they sleep with the eyes closed now. In fact, they were returned to farm now. But before now, if you even go to your farm, the ex-man will come to the farm, in presence of you, they will be uprooting your cassava and giving it to a cow. You cannot say anything.
Thank you very much, Jakub. So intelligence gathering is low, but you catch Igboho in Benin. Intelligence gathering is low. You can catch somebody in Kenya. Intelligence gathering is low. So you find a way. Somehow this system works for what it wants to work for.
Yes, which sort of buttresses the skepticism some people have about the fact that the law is partial and the execution of the law is partial and is skewed to favor some people. It's really sad. These are Nigerian citizens. Those children are citizens of Nigeria. Those children can become the presidents, could become the presidents tomorrow, but you are not letting them get access to good education. They cannot feed themselves because food cost has gone, beans has gone up by over 200% in just 6 months of this year. So what is our government doing? It's not body language alone, it's not lip service.
You know, talking about these students, we are talking about them. Some of them have been released, but the students from the Islamia school in Niger State are still in captivity. And it's silence. Silence everywhere.
Definitely silence on that one.
Everywhere. Silence. So what is happening?
So
has the ransom been paid? Are they asking for ransom? Is the government involved? You know, there was a time the parents, I mean, the head of the school, it was reported how he was crying and everything. It's gone. You know, I always wonder about the state of mind of the victims and the parents. This particular one that was reported today, we had someone who said that he almost died just knowing that his daughter was in captivity. He could not believe it. I was finally lucky to be among the lucky ones for her to have been released. Imagine 20 days, day in and day out. You wake up, you go to bed to sleep, if you can sleep, that your child is in captivity with bad people.
It's nightmares.
Will do anything to those children. Look at the expression on the faces of those little boys that we saw. What they have gone through.
Lovely children.
Now, this is another thing that we need to start talking about. How to take care of them, about their minds, rehabilitate them, what they have seen, what they have gone through. We're doing a lot of disservice when we do not do the right thing as a government. It's not just about money.
Williams from Warri.
It's just so bad. Impact is
yes,
so
I have
deep.
a call. Good morning, Williams. Are you there?
Yes, I'm still here with you.
You're live. Go ahead, please.
Okay, good morning.
Morning.
I'm a first-time caller.
Welcome to the show.
Okay, thank you very much for your program. I want to personally thank you guys for telling Nigerians what is happening in the country. Most especially what is happening in Kano, in Kaduna, and most northern part of the country is some of us in the south, we see it as a well-planned and coordinated approach to make sure that Christians, most especially Christians, are eliminated in the north. I can't imagine myself, my own child is kidnapped in my house, and government is not taking any effort. And when the 17 Southern governors met, the presidency itself went against them. Imagine
Williams, let me pause you for a second. Williams, remember the Islamia children? They're also being kidnapped. So I don't think this should be about Muslim or Christian. Don't you think?
No, it has become a business. It has become a business.
Right.
Because I remember last week, journalists hung out when one of the callers said that what is happening is geared towards Erufai. I said no, because this is pre-planned arrangement to make sure that children don't go to school in the north. And that's what is happening. And I think that Nigerians need to speak against it. Nigerians all over the world need to speak against it since the government are not willing to do something. And number two, by 2023, elections are coming up. What is our stand about this government? We need to vote out this government. I am not trying to use this as a platform to say that we are calling on this government to be removed.
Please, Mara, before
we have to run,
we
unfortunately.
need to talk about the fact that the body language again for the president is to stop journalists and stop media houses and reduce reportage and reporting process of these things happening.
That's a different topic for a different day. We have to go on a break. We can't end this conversation. We have to continue it. We're going to break. When we come back, move on to our Let's Talk. Stay with us. We'll be right back.